Hello, friends. Welcome again to my channel. Welcome to Daily Code Challenges. I'm so excited to be here today, and I hope you are as well. All right, today is another session, right, on our Daily Code Challenge. And before we move to what we have today, let's have a brief recap of what we did yesterday. Yesterday, we talked about is prime. Is prime is a function that actually returns true if a number is prime, and it returns a false if the number is not a prime number. So you were able to write a function that could help us to check if a number is prime or not, right? So if you want to know more about this, just go to my YouTube channel and watch the day 17 video of the Daily Code Challenge. All right, so today is day 18. I'll simply close the 17.js and then I zoom in a little. All right, what we have today is called is perfect square. It says write a function is perfect square that accepts a number as an argument. The method should return a boolean indicating whether or not the argument is a perfect square. A perfect square is a number that is the product of some number multiplied by itself. For example, we have 64 equals 8 times 8. We have 144 equals 12 times 12. We have 64, which is 8 times 8, yeah, 144. So they are both perfect squares. 35 is not a perfect square. Not every number is a perfect square, right? Having that established, how do we implement this in code? Before we write code, let's first of all let's understand what this problem statement is all about. How can we tell that a number is a perfect square? How can we how can we handle the theoretical part that will lead to us writing the code? All right, let's take a number for instance. Let's say we all know that, okay, let's take 25, 25. Let's take 16. We know that 16 is a perfect square, right? Now, let us write a series of numbers from 1 to 15 and see which of these numbers that can multiply themselves to give us 16. Let's start by writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so we stop at 15 because we don't want to include the last number, which is 16. All right, now let's, after looping through numbers, or after looping through the numbers from 1 down to the number before 16, which is 15 our case here, what we want to do is, okay, please just give me some moments, excuse me. I'm trying to reconnect the Google Meet so that others can join. Okay, so this is kind of taking time. Please bear with me for a moment. All right, so I'm back again. All right, I said to achieve this, we need to loop from 1 down to a number before the argument we shall be passing in our function. In our own case, we are going to be passing 16 as the argument. Therefore, we need to loop through from 1 down to 15. Here, let us check for a number that multiplies itself among this series of values here to give us 16. All right, let's check. 1 times 1 gives us 1. 2 times 2 gives us 4. 3 times 3 gives us 9. 4 times 4 gives us 16. All right. Therefore, 4 times 4 is 16, right? That means that 16 is a perfect square because there's a number among this series of numbers that multiplies itself to give us 16. So that's simply the code logic we shall be implementing next. All right, so we just comment on this code here on that line of code, and then let's begin with the code implementation. So we start by writing the function keyword as usual, and then the function name is called is perfect square, and also let's give it a parameter of, let's call it num. All right, so it's not necessary you always use num. You can use all that descriptive names as your variable name, right? The next thing you want to do, like I mentioned here, we want to make an iteration. Here we are going to use a for loop. We say for, then here we have let index equal 0. Like I normally do, I change my index to I. Even if you leave your index as index, it will still work, right? And also I remove array.length. I don't need that in this code implementation. I also remove this line of code. All right, so what do we need next? We want to loop from 1. That means here we change 0 to 1. We can actually leave it as 0 as well. But like I said, when we are dealing with code that has to do with multiplication of numbers, we should be very careful of how we throw 0 around, because 0 multiply anything will give you 0, and we don't want to have bugs in our code. So it's very safe we begin counting from 1. Not like 0 would be a bad choice, but just to be on the safe side, right? And you also have to understand your code very well to know where to start from. Here we write num. That means that we want to iterate between 1 to a number lesser than num, just like we did here. Here num is 16, but we iterated from 1 to 15. All right. The next we want to do is let's console I. Let's log the value of I we have to be sure that we are on the right track. Having done that, we call the function. Function is called is perfect square. Let's use 16 as our argument. I save this code and then I run. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down to 15, just as we have here. The next thing we want to do is we want to check if any of these numbers multiply itself to give us num, which is in our own case 16. Here we simply, let me close this. Here we simply comment the console log. Then we write a conditional statement. We say if parenthesis curly brace. All right. If I multiplied by I equals num. So what this is saying is this: we want to look for just one number that multiplies itself to give us the value of num. And in our case, we can see that here 4 multiplies itself to give us this. Hope that's clear enough. I believe that's clear enough. Then what happens when this is true? We return true. Let's remove this console log from our code so that we have a very neat code. Then anything else outside this for loop should return a false. I save this code and then I am going to run it next. And I believe this should give us a true, right? Because 16 is a perfect square. But when I run this code, we won't see any value displayed because we need to log this function. Let's try it and see. Nothing is displayed, just like I said. Let me clear this console and run again. Nothing gets displayed. All right, so we are simply going to log this by using console log. All right, so we save and then we run this code again. Now we have true, right? Okay, so let's test this with other numbers as well. I'll simply just copy this, paste it 4 more times. That means we have 5 function examples to pass in our arguments. Let's write 5 here. Then the next part here, let's call this 10. All right, we have 16. Let's have 24. And then the last one here, let's have 36. Of course, 36 is a perfect square. Here we know that 5 is not, therefore it should return false. Here 10 is not, it should return false as well. Let's copy this. 24 is not, it should return false. 16 is a perfect square, it should return a true. So we'll change this false to true. 36 is a perfect square because 6 times 6 gives us 36. All right, let me save this. Let me remove this line of code as well. All right, so I save again and then I run this code. We have false, which is correct, false again, which is correct, true, which is correct, false, which is correct, and also true, which is correct as well. All right, so this is my code implementation to this code challenge. I believe there are other ways to solve this, right? Ways I might not know. So if you feel or if you believe that you have other ways to solve this, please solve it and you can share with us on this channel, on this playlist, right? You can just go to the comment section and then tell us how you solved yours and possibly drop your code implementation, right? So with this, I say thanks for joining on this call. Thanks for having me. Thank you everyone, and please remember to subscribe to this channel, right? Like it and then hit the notification bell so as for you to get notifications when I drop new content, right? Okay, so once again, I say thank you very much and keep learning, keep coding. Have fun. Bye.